Hello guys and welcome back to another video. My name is FPO Meerkat and today I'm reacting to my 2022-23 Premier League predictions. I've been putting off this video for a little bit. I've been quite busy recently, but I thought now was a good time to get recording and get, just see what I was saying about the 2022-23 season. I don't remember many of my predictions. I definitely remember some. I know that I've had some absolute howlers in there. I'm curious to see what I was saying at the beginning of the season. I always like making predictions and then standing by them as well. I don't like covering them up. I will fully admit when I've done something, said something terrible, but I will also fully admit when I've got something spot on. So I'll probably do a point system similar to some other YouTubers. I'll probably put that up as the video is going along to keep track of what my points are during the video. But let's get straight into what I was saying. Oh, the old intro as well. So where else to start other than dead last? I don't think this is going to be a very unpopular opinion, but I think that Bournemouth are going to finish 20th. Harsh to put someone at the bottom of the table, but someone's got to finish last. Yeah, I mean, everyone had Bournemouth dead last, honestly. I did not see a single prediction that didn't have Bournemouth in the relegation zone. Again, you can get in the comments and prove me wrong otherwise. But yeah, I mean, I was fairly confident about this. I was fairly confident that Bournemouth would have a horrible season, that they would be distinctly last, that they hadn't done much transfer business, and the people that they had got them up from the Championship, but they weren't Premier League quality. And oh my goodness, how wrong I was. Gary O'Neill was a huge part in that. He really turned around that side. He didn't even make that many signings. He just worked with what he had. And that team just had so much spirit about them. And they got so many hard-earned wins. A lot of comebacks as well. They very much wouldn't, they were never out of a game. No matter what the scoreline was, they really got some hard-earned wins there. I believe, they finished 15th in the table overall. In 19th, we have Fulham. This is massively quite a bad one, isn't it? I mean, I think a lot of people also thought Fulham would get relegated. They're incredibly well-run club. 10th they finished, and they could have genuinely been a lot higher if they hadn't taken their foot off the pedal near the end of the season. Some incredibly good signings like Willian and Andreas. And Mitrovic, I did say that Mitrovic would be key to their season. I didn't think he'd score that many goals. He was certainly pivotal, and to be honest, Fulham would have finished higher if Mitrovic hadn't got that gotten that suspension. A little bit of hindsight there, but they made some great signings. I think depending on what happens to De Silva will really affect how they perform next season. I think he's done wonders at that club. He's really given them a philosophy and given them a formula that works no matter who is playing. They've got a lot of attacking options. That's the thing I saw, that it wasn't just Mitrovic. I know he was the talisman in that team, but the likes of Wilson, Willian, Andreas, of course, Solomon as well in pivotal moments, scored a lot of goals all around. I think 55 goals scored for Fulham. They conceded a lot, but they scored so many that it put them into the top half of the table. So an incredibly good season for Fulham there. In 18th, quite a tough one to predict here. I've gone for Southampton. Yeah, I got one of them right. This was the one I knew I had correct. I did think that Southampton would have a poor season, and yes, they definitely did. Struggled in previous seasons. We obviously know about the 9-0 thrashings they've had recently. But they just somehow keep surviving, don't they? They keep lifting themselves up and getting out of the relegation zone. I think this season they won't get so lucky. Yes, good prediction. They've been quite shaky for a while. I do like their signings though. Bazunu in goal. Bazunu's interesting because I did see a statistic that I think expected goals conceded out of every goalkeeper, starting goalkeeper that is, in the Premier League. I believe he was the worst out of every single goalkeeper. They actually conceded more. He conceded, I think, something like 13 goals more, whereas some goalkeepers actually, prevented more XG than they let in. So I think they'll do pretty well for some of the season, but I can just see them really dropping off near the end. I was right about that. They did drop off near the end. I think they were in the relegation zone for quite a while, but yeah, they did have a massive tail off near the end. And they did have that really shock result against Arsenal, but apart from that, they were just on a massive losing streak. And I think they were relegated. Was it 2 or 3 games before the end of the season? So yeah, quite a terrible season. In all honesty, I thought it'd be poor, but yeah, not that poor. They're 18th for Southampton. In 17th, I've got Brentford. Oh, no. Brentford. Oh, I can't wait for what I said about Brentford, because they are an incredibly well-run club. I feel like they could suffer second season syndrome. I think second season syndrome, that's what it was. They had a great season, the first one in the Premier League, and I thought they would join the likes of Sheffield, where they plummeted. No, that was a really poor prediction. They were not like Sheffield in their second season. No, they continued that really strong form into this Premier League season. In 16th, we have Nottingham Forest. Oh, wait, I think... There we go. Spot on. I was spot on about Nottingham Forest. That's good. I think that might be the only one in the video, but yeah. I thought the Nottingham Forest passion and their home record would keep them up, and that's exactly what happened. I didn't think the difference between their home and away form would be that drastic, but yeah, I knew that going to Forest away would be a really tough ask for a lot of teams, and they beat the likes of Arsenal at home. And yeah, I thought I put them as my favourite out of the 3 promoted teams, and they actually did the worst out of the 3. At 15th, we have Leeds. Yeah, I knew that Leeds was coming at some point. I mean, I thought they'd have a much better season than they did. I thought they'd get a lot less unlucky with the injuries, because they got plagued with injuries the previous season. I thought they'd be a lot less unlucky. I thought, to be honest, because they sold Rafinha and Phillips, 100 million that they raised from them. I thought that those 2 signings and then spreading the funds around all over the team would really help improve them. But to be honest, they were just quite underwhelming overall, Leeds. Nonto had a great little bit of the season. Meslier as well was really, really dropped in form over the season, which is a shame. He is young, so you might anticipate that he could the pressure could get to him, but yeah, it's a shame because he was a really, really good keeper previously, and of course Leeds concede a lot of chances, but yeah, Leeds sort of just had a terrible time, didn't they? So I think they'll do all right. I think will Leeds fans be happy with 15th? Leeds fans would be ecstatic with 15th. Goodness me, yeah, they I should have really thought that just surviving relegation for a team like Leeds at that stage would have been great. In 14th, we have Everton. Yeah, there's Everton. I thought Everton would have quite a bad season, so I'm surprised I've put them this high. 17th they actually finished. They just obviously scraped through, just surviving relegation. But they've had a lot of good free signings. Tarkowski's a great pickup in defence. McNeil looked very good in his preseason game. Vinagre as well, a nice cover at wing back. Again, I feel like I'm just listing off the signings without actually thinking about their implementation. I'm pretty sure Vinagre does he even play for Everton anymore? He didn't make a single appearance. McNeil though, yeah, he did very well. Obviously had a good period near the end of the season. It was Iwobi was really their magic player, to be honest. He had a cracking season, and I think his fantastic form near the start really helped keep them up, as well as, I mean, Pickford had a relatively good season. Onana did all right. Who else? Calvert-Lewin stayed injured for most of it. He didn't really help. Decore as well was a powerhouse in the midfield. He really did score some very vital goals for them. In 13th, we have Brighton. Oh dear, yeah, another quite bad one. Then again, I don't think... Now I know how well Brighton is run as a club. Their scouting is incredible, but it's only really been highlighted this season. They've struggled in previous ones, and obviously losing Potter was quite big. That happened midway through the season, didn't it? And when you look at the squad on paper, you don't think much of it, but they're just so well run. De Zerbi has been excellent. Probably I'd put top 3 managers this season, honestly. He's been incredible, really made them a force to be reckoned with. They were definitely a team they were one of the few teams I think I watched every week and I could go, they could win this game. Every single game they played, you would never count them out. And I like some of the signings they've brought in, and Siso, I think, as the second striker. I didn't even know who Enciso was, or Enciso. And now he's probably he was one of my favorite players this season. I didn't own him for very long, but it was an absolute joy to own him in FPL. One of my all-time favorite differentials that I've gone for. Adingra. Who on earth is Adingra? I've literally no idea who that is. That's definitely not someone who played, unless I've butchered the pronunciation. But Adingra, I don't even know who that is. In 12th position, we have Crystal Palace. Oh, I might be spot on with... No, Crystal Palace finished 11th. I'm sorry, but Crystal Palace might be the easiest team to predict out of anyone. They always finish between that 10th to 13th. They're never quite challenging for European spots, but they're never anywhere near relegation. They're very, very consistent. They've looked alright they've looked pretty good in pre-season. I think Benteke is someone who's really gone under the radar. Benteke under the radar. Did that sentence really just exit my mouth? Benteke under the radar. I don't think he even plays for them anymore, does he? I'm hoping they sold him before the start of the season because, yeah, he barely even featured. It was Edouard and Ayew, I believe. Was Ayew playing up front? I think Edouard played the majority of games. But yeah, Benteke, he did do well in pre-season, to be fair. I took far too much from pre-season. I think their defense is going to be worse this season, but I think their attack is going to be better. Ooh. I think they were relatively the same, didn't they? But yeah, I think that's pretty right. I mean, they've only scored 40 goals, but nearer the end of the season, their attack was considerably better. They were scoring 5-6 goals in some games. Roy Hodgson really, really got them going. But yeah, obviously they were doing quite badly until Vieira left. Again, that could just be because of the fixtures, but yeah, they did score considerably more goals this year. It felt like, at least near the end. In 11th, we have Aston Villa. Okay, that's a fair prediction. They did finish 7th, but again, this was when Gerrard was still in charge, and I think they were near the relegation zone. So yeah, Aston Villa, you could have predicted them anywhere, to be honest, this season. I went quite safe with 11th, but yeah, finishing high or low. They massively varied given how terribly they were doing under Steven Gerrard, but how incredibly well they did under Unai Emery. I think Gerrard will really kick them into gear this season. Oh no, Gerrard did not kick them into gear. It was Emery that kicked them into gear. The only thing that got kicked was Gerrard himself from the team. I think Bailly has shown brilliant class in pre-season. Leon Bailey, the pre-season hero. Was in everyone's team selection video. By the way, just a bit of a future reference. When I make my team selection video, I'm going to make it before I've seen a single other person's team. I'm going to make it without any knowledge of who's in everyone's teams. I'll probably obviously see the percentages of ownership, but yeah, I'm not going to see anything from Twitter or YouTube content. I'm going to make that first draft video with absolutely zero knowledge of what everyone else is doing, basically, just so I have no it's only my own judgment. I got so sold on this Neto and Bailly nonsense, to be honest. I just have some doubts about Aston Villa attacking wise, so I don't think they'll get near European football. Oh, they won't get near European football. They comfortably got it. I mean, not comfortably. It did take them till the last day, but I mean, they got into the position where if they won, they got it. So, yeah, that's a poor statement from me. Cracking to the top half of the table now. In 10th, we have Wolves. Gosh. I mean, 13th, so I'm not actually that far off, but Wolves were Wolves were terrible this season, to be honest. They really were very, very underwhelming. They had a very good period, which just got them to safety. But yeah, I remember big periods of the season where Wolves were not good at all. Jimenez has just been declared injured for 8 weeks, though, which is a big loss. It's such a shame he hasn't been able to get to the heights of we know he can be. There are a lot of teams who need to sign a striker in the transfer window, but I think Wolves are the number one. It is crucial because, I mean, signing Diego Costa, what even was that as a transfer? He did absolutely nothing for them. Jimenez just hasn't returned to the heights he was at. It's really a shame, to be honest, because he was such a great player once upon a time. Hwang Hee-chan, I thought, was signed as a striker. He's been more playing as a winger, I believe. Which just leaves Cunha, who has been okay. They either need to go all in and like make him the starting man for certain, or just get someone who gets the goals, because Wolves have been they've been staying up because of how good they've been defensively, but offensive wise, they've just really lacked. I think they're in big trouble if they don't make a good attacking signing in the transfer window. In 9th place, I've gone for Leicester. Oh no. Oh, that might be the worst one yet. Leicester in 9th. 18th Leicester finished. They were horrific. This must have been before the transfer window properly closed, because I wonder if Schmeichel... hang on, let's see if Schmeichel had left by this point. Leicester have done absolutely nothing in the transfer window. I don't think they've signed or sold anyone. I know there's a lot of talk about their players going, but I've not heard anything about who they're signing. Yeah, they hadn't signed or sold anyone. So Schmeichel hadn't left by this point. So I need to make my predictions a bit later this time around, so that massive stuff like that is influenced. I think if I knew Schmeichel had gone and they hadn't signed a replacement, I think I probably would have put them a bit lower than 9th. But yeah, I mean, I did identify that not signing anyone was a bit worrying. I think I was thinking that they were just going to sign someone before the end of the window, but they just didn't. Schmeichel left. They didn't replace anyone, and to be honest, the players just really didn't have any fight about them. It really felt like that. They sort of just... It was a very underwhelming season for Leicester, and I think they're one of probably the worst affected out of the 3 that have gone down, because they have got some very high talent. I think Tielemans has actually gone to Aston Villa now. Maddison will definitely leave. Hopefully they can hold on to the likes of Barnes, maybe Iheanacho as well. They've got some really good players. They were definitely far too good to go down. But yeah, I don't know why I was thinking putting them in 9th. Moving on to 8th place, I've gone with Newcastle. Now, I mean, yeah, you couldn't really put Newcastle any higher or much higher than that. Maybe 6th I saw as the highest prediction. Nobody really thought Newcastle would get Champions League football, because they hadn't really made the massive signings that everyone thought they would. But yeah, they just... I mean, it was the defence, wasn't it? Newcastle's defence was absolutely immense. Yeah, the least goals conceded in the Premier League, 33. The Botman was just an incredible pickup. Trippier, probably the best right back in the league last season. And just an absolute force. Eddie Howe was definitely my manager of the season. Did an incredible job with them. Yeah, I was probably a bit... I should have probably thought a bit more about them doing better. But yeah, it's because they hadn't proven it that much that, yeah, I was reluctant to put them very high. But don't worry, I won't make that mistake again. They'll definitely be put a lot higher than 8th in my next prediction. I think they will challenge for Europe this year, but I don't think they'll quite get there this year. Oh, they're more than challenged. I should have said that about Champions League. Yeah, they very comfortably got European football, that's for sure. And I'm very much looking forward to see how they get on in the Champions League. To European football, and also taking a player from a close rival in Leicester. That's so insane to think about. Newcastle and Leicester being close rivals here. Newcastle finishing 4th, Leicester finishing 18th. That's where we were at the start of last season. Newcastle and Leicester were on a level playing field, and all of a sudden, the gap couldn't be any bigger than it is right now. Incredible season. Incredible fall off for Leicester, an incredible rise from Newcastle. In seventh, I've gone for West Ham. Oh dear, West Ham finished 14th. Again, nobody really predicted a drop off that heavy, and they won a European Cup, so they clearly weren't bad. If they're going to go and win a cup, I just didn't really consider how much they'd put into that competition. As soon as they were avoided relegation, they just completely dropped everything and were like, okay, we're going to rest like the whole team and we're going to just focus on that cup. But yeah, they had a terrible, terrible start to the season, and their squad is so good, so good. So yeah, I was very surprised they did so badly at the start. In sixth position, going into the top six. Now this is interesting. I've gone with Man United. Oh yeah, okay. I thought I put Man United in sixth. Yeah, they finished third. They had a much better season than I was expecting. To be fair, if I made that prediction at the start of the season, that was looking like a good prediction given the horrendous losses they had. But yeah, they just it was weird because they were consistently very good. They just had some massive anomalies during the season, the huge losses that they had. But yeah, consistently they were far better defensively as well, which is what really carried them. And they weren't obviously Rashford. Rashford was the main reason they got Champions League football, the sheer amount of goals that he scored. I think they'll have a strong start to the season, but I can see them fading near to the end of the season. That is that is literally the opposite of what happened. They had a terrible start to the season with the 4-0 loss to Brentford and the likes of that. And then they had a great end to the season. That is could not have been more wrong on that behalf. Yeah, bad start but a good end. And yeah, I said the opposite. Malacia as well in defence, I think is huge. I really like Malacia. I've seen him in the preseason games. I think he looks really good. I honestly think he will be Man United's best signing this season. I think he'll really, if he's given the game time over Luke Shaw, I think he'll really prove himself get himself into the first team and be a great pickup for them offensively and defensively. Yeah, he didn't do that. Yeah, it was Luke Shaw, actually, was probably one of Man United's players of the season. I think, again, that was happening for the start of the season where Luke Shaw was quite poor. Malacia came into the team, did fairly well. But yeah, then he sort of tailed off and he's very, very much distinctly the backup left back now. Yeah, that was maybe a bit of wishful thinking and a bit of thinking that Luke Shaw would tail off. But no, Luke Shaw is probably if not the best left back in the league this season. Definitely top three. I think to stand any chance to get top four, I think they need that big midfielder like De Jong. They've been in talks for so long. I think they need that midfielder to stand any chance of getting in the top four. They hadn't signed Casemiro at this point. That explains my thinking. Again, I need to make these videos a bit later than I'm predicting them. Oh yeah, they signed Casemiro a little bit into the season, didn't they? But yeah, it was that midfield signing. It was that midfield signing that really carried them over the line. Now, fifth position. I don't know how controversial this choice is going to be, but I've put Chelsea in fifth position. That's so funny that I thought putting Chelsea fifth was controversial because I put them that low. Yeah, they finished 12th. Yeah, nobody was going to put them that low, and I'm probably one of the lowest in terms of where I've put Chelsea. I'm interested to see what I've said, why I've said this is controversial. I just don't think they're going to be as good as they were last year. I think the other teams I've put above them will just have a better season. They were looking a bit shaky at the end of last season. They were conceding quite a few goals despite being a great defence. They were leaking a lot of goals, and losing Rudiger I think is a huge loss. Rudiger was massive. Rudiger completely. Like, having him alongside Thiago Silva was incredible. I mean, they won the Champions League with that centre-back partnership, didn't they? Rudiger was an enormous loss. Koulibaly, we all saw as a fairly fit replacement for him, but no, he was miles off. And now they've signed Fofana, who I still don't even think lives up to what Rudiger provided for the team. Not just defensively, but being able to spark an attack as well. I think was a massive loss. I genuinely think selling Rudiger probably the biggest impact that any team has had this season was selling Rudiger. There might have been some other big player that I'm forgetting about, but yeah, losing Rudiger was huge. Now into the Champions League spots. This has changed as of today. This has changed. So in fourth place, I have gone for Spurs. Okay, so I mean, eighth for Spurs. Yeah, very poor season. Given where I've put the other teams, I mean, if I just swapped Man United and Spurs, this would have looked a lot better. But yeah, Spurs were far off it, not even in Europe, and they didn't deserve to be. Spurs were shocking. I'm actually amazed they finished in eighth. They played significantly worse. They played probably about the same level as Chelsea did. So yeah, I mean, the likes of the teams that finished just below them, Brentford and Fulham, I think had better seasons than Spurs. So yeah, putting them fourth was probably not, given the circumstances, not that bad, but yeah, still pretty poor. I think they will get Champions League football. They've had a very strong transfer window, the likes of Richarlison, Bissouma, Spence, Perisic, Longley. Were any of those good signings? I don't think any of them were. Spence certainly was terrible. Richarlison, probably the worst signing of the season. Just, I think, one goal I think he scored this season in the Prem. One goal. I didn't expect him to be that bad. I thought he was all right. He did well at Everton. He seemed like a good signing, a good either backup for Kane or playing off the side. But yeah, Richarlison really did not find any form. Perisic was okay, I guess, for a lot of the season. Defensively, definitely suffered though. I think that was the issue with Conte's setup, wasn't it? The over reliance of attacking from the fullbacks, and yeah, just not enough defensive output. And Longley, I mean, none of Spurs' defense had a very good season. Ramiro probably the only one who did okay, but and Davies as well probably did all right, but yeah, quite a poor season all round for Spurs. I think Kane and Son will have really good seasons again. I can see Son easily winning the Golden Boot again. Could easily see Son winning the Golden Boot again, with Haaland joining the league. Oh, that's bad. I mean, he had just won the Golden Boot, but it really was a freak season, wasn't it? I know Son's a great player, but winning back-to-back Golden Boots, especially with the likes of Kane, with Haaland joining the league, with Salah still in the league, yeah, that was not a good shout. In third place, I have gone for Arsenal. Yes, okay. And this was the other one I remembered. I predicted Arsenal would have a great season, and they did. Not, I was never going to predict they were going to do that well. But I know a lot of people had Arsenal very low down. I thought that this would be their season where they turn it on. I didn't. I obviously thought it would be a Man City Liverpool dominance again, but I thought Arsenal would basically replace Chelsea as that definitive best, third team. And yeah, I mean, what an incredible season for Arsenal. Obviously, the end of the season was not very good at all, but it still doesn't take away from the incredible lead that they had in the league. They were beating everyone left, right, and centre. Their football was so enjoyable to watch as well. Ødegaard, incredibly good season. Saka and Martinelli, Saliba, a huge loss when he got injured. Zinchenko had a good season. Pretty much the whole team had a great season. Ramsdale as well, contender for goalkeeper of the season. Yeah, just really, really good. And 88 goals scored was incredibly good for Arsenal. They just leaked a few too many goals. And they're starting to look a lot more like the days of old, the likes of Henry and Bergkamp. They're not quite there yet, but they're starting to build the foundation of it. I think Arsenal are really going to be hard to beat this year. I stand by that. Obviously, the personnel, if you could compare player for player, you go, Martinelli and Saka against Thierry Henry and Dennis Bergkamp. Obviously, it's not even close. But that style of football, those golden days when they just played free-flowing football, like Nasri, Ramsey, Ozil, that's really coming back to Arsenal. I hope they can continue it forward, because it is really, they're probably my favourite team to watch in terms of football quality in the Premier League. I know obviously Man City are the best, but you know what you're getting with Man City. It's very dominant and it's very predictable. But with Arsenal, it's just such a joy to watch some of the games they had. Just such free flowing football. So yeah, if I hope they can continue that, and I think if they do, they will again push for that title. Now the top two. The top two, it's always going to be tough to choose between Liverpool and Man City. I am a Liverpool fan myself. I don't know if you can see that. They see the badge. This is a Liverpool away kit from last year. Is bias going to play a part into my thinking? Yes. Yes, it is. In second place, I've gone for Man City. Yeah, I mean, definitely took bias far too much into account there for Liverpool beating Man City. To be fair, Liverpool had a very poor season. I don't think many people predicted to be that bad, given how close Liverpool were to completing a quadruple last season. Pushing Man City all the way that they did, to then drop off to finish fifth was pretty significant. But I think I should have taken far more into account the signing of Erling Haaland. I just didn't think he'd be that good. I thought he'd be good. I thought he'd definitely push up there for the Golden Boot. I didn't think he'd clear it so comfortably. I thought that the defenses in the Premier League would do a much better job than the likes of the Bundesliga and the Norwegian League did. But yeah, he absolutely dominated it. And, I didn't predict Nunes to be that shaky. Maybe you could have told that from looking at clips of him. His touch and his decision-making just isn't there yet. Hopefully it will be in future seasons. Again, another injury crisis with Jota and Diaz both being out. And then, having that front, Gakpo, a late arrival as well. So for most of the season, it was just Salah and Nunes in the front line with Carvalho or Elliott playing as well. So yeah, I mean, let's see what I have to say. I just think that losing the likes of Sterling and Jesus will actually hurt City more than people might think. Despite them not being regular starters, I just think they went to another level without Jesus and Sterling. They actually defined a style, which I think, again, there's been a philosophy certainly at Man City, but they've changed the players and who's playing and where constantly. There is now a definitive team for Man City. That Champions League lineup, you could fully predict that 11. Apart from maybe Akanji and Walker, that's the only 50-50 really. You could predict that whole 11. And that's the first time we could definitively say that about Man City. And I just didn't think they'd be able to do it that quickly. I thought that this would be their experimenting season and that this would be the season that they try different things and they'd get a feel for it next season, the season coming up. But yeah, they adapted to it super fast and absolutely dominated every competition they played pretty much, apart from the Carabao Cup. Nathan Jones getting the better of them. Yeah. I just think Haaland will get onto a slow start. I think De Bruyne will somehow be their main asset for goals. Whether De Bruyne outscores Haaland, I'm not too sure. But I just think everyone is underestimating De Bruyne again. Okay, I mean, that's not a horrendous take. De Bruyne wasn't their main asset for goals, but he was a huge asset for goals. The amount of assists that he got, I think I was just trying too hard to be different here. That link up between De Bruyne and Haaland, everyone said would be amazing, and it was. I was never saying that Haaland was going to be bad. I just thought he would get off to a slow start. I thought he'd really struggle to adapt in his first few games and then really get into it. But no, that first game of the season where he scored 2 goals, I was like, oh, I've made a mistake here. He is fully, he's absolutely on it. And yeah, people did underrate De Bruyne, to be fair. He was incredibly good this season. People didn't really think it, but yeah, the amount of assists he got, he was exceptionally good. Definitely in most people's team of the season yet again. And at number 1, I have put Liverpool winning the title. Obviously, I have a slight bias, but I think they will have a fantastic season this year. And a pretty not rubbish, but a pretty terrible season. But he's clearly got that potential for goals, and I think like Haaland, he will have a slow start as well. I think that battle between Nunez and Haaland is going to be really good. Obviously Haaland is... I mean, yeah, at this point of time, that does sound like a fair opinion, but yeah, I mean, It's not even close. It's not even close between Nunes and Haaland. It's not even close. I think teams were starting to get used to Liverpool's style of play, but I just think this season they'll do something a bit different. Yeah, so that was my thinking, that Man City would try to adapt to something different and they'd be slow to get it, whereas Liverpool were becoming very predictable, and I could clearly see where they were going with the signings, with getting Nunes in, with changing it up, who was playing up front. I just thought they'd be much better adapting to it, and yeah, especially at the start of the season, it was just the same old annoyance, especially like Bournemouth as well, just failing to produce anything. I know we beat them 9-0, but then, later on in the season, losing to them 1-0. So many sloppy losses during the season. I don't know. A lot of this is it's heart over head here. Say that again. And yeah, I just see Liverpool pipping City to the title. So there you are, guys. There are my Wow, yeah. So that's the end of this this video, guys. That was my Premier League predictions. I'll put what my score is up on the screen. So you basically get it's golf scores. You want to have as low of a score as possible. For every position away you are, you get a point. So I predicted Liverpool being first. They finished fifth. So I get 4 points for that, and you want as low of a score as possible. I think I've done pretty badly here. I think it might be in the 80s. It's been a pretty poor season, but yeah, I promise I'll do better with the next one. I hope you guys have enjoyed this video, a bit of a fun one in the off season. The FPL content will be on its way once we get some news about the game, about the fixtures, about prices, about stuff like that. But I hope you guys are enjoying the break, enjoying the sun, and I'll see you in the next FPL video.